Like, where did you come from? Like before London, where were you living?
Well, I was born in Brazil,
Okay.
but I lived in Portugal before, as I told you. I already had the idea that how was to live in another country, and it was much better than to be in Brazil. Because being in Brazil,
you had tried to live in another country, or as a tourist you went to another country?
I was living there.
You had the experience.
Yeah, I had the experience, and I could see the difference of being in the school in Brazil and being in school in Portugal.
All right.
You know how things work differently in the countries. You know, it doesn't matter Europe or America, so it's pretty different.
Yeah.
And since my family decided to go back to Brazil, I wasn't happy with that.
Okay.
And
how old were you?
I went back to Brazil when I was 10. So I was like a child, but I had a grown idea, you know, in mind.
Yeah, that's very interesting to me, because usually in this age, the kids are told.
Mm-hmm.
They are not asked.
Yeah.
Nobody asks them, would you like to move there? They just announce, the parents, we are moving there, and that's it, and you don't have a say.
No, I didn't have choice, you know, to move to Portugal or to go back to Brazil, because
But you still were asked. So
yeah, you know,
yeah,
exactly. I had the opportunity to be able to come back to Europe at some point,
okay,
or to leave Brazil again. And I always kept that in my mind, you know, like as soon as I'm gonna turn 18, I'm gonna leave this country, you know.
Okay.
Because I was in Portugal, the age that I was living there, you know, I was growing mentally, you know. It was I think it was the time of my life that I was deciding what I wanna get, or where. And I wasn't happy going back to Brazil, you know. I had friends, you know. It was the time of my life that I was building friends, you know, like I was growing. So I think at this age, like between 10 and 15, you're gonna make friends that you're gonna keep for a while in your life. And then my family just decided to change it. Okay. So I had to start all over again. And when I went back to Brazil, I wasn't living in my city. I was living in a different city.
Okay.
So it was everything from the bottom, you know, like from zero. And I didn't like it, so I always kept in my mind, as soon as I'm gonna turn 18, I'm gonna leave this country. I have the opportunity, you know, so why not? And then I just decided to come. I finished high school. I collect some money, you know, I was working to collect some money. My family helped me as well. And I just say goodbye. I'm sorry, but it's time for me to leave, you know. I couldn't see myself in Brazil, you know, like studying, building a family or a career, you know. I just want to leave.
It was a decision like not just the economical situation, that the wages are lower there and higher here or something like that. It was like the cultural thing. That
also that, you know, like, because in Brazil it's really difficult to be yourself without any fear,
okay,
you know.
Okay.
And when I came out to my family, like, it was a bit difficult in the beginning.
Of course.
And
I can only imagine, but
and even being in Brazil, you know, like I just couldn't feel comfortable being myself, you know, like I couldn't go to the shopping center, and like I had to act differently, you know, because people are gonna look at you and they're gonna judge you.
Yeah.
And having the idea in other countries, you know, and internet as well, you know, show us how different it is in another country, especially in England. I was like, fine, you know, I just want to live. I want to be independent, and I want to be a free person. I want to be myself. And I was just working for it, you know, like to get all my documents done and everything, and just leave.
Okay. Yeah, and I think the internet does a very good job in this. Before the internet, you will just look around you. You will say this is normal and accept it. Now I think this is changing, and I have some hope that in the near future, these things will not really stay in Greece and in Brazil.
Well, there's a lot of people fighting for their rights now, you know, and hopefully, as you said, it's going to be in the near future, even if my thoughts is different sometimes. But I don't really see myself going back to Brazil and building a life there or anything, you know.
Okay.
Of course, I want to go there. I want to go back to my family, see them, you know. But I don't think I can spend more than a year.
What year did you come here?
I came in 2018.
So you are here like about 4 years?
About 4 years. It's going to be 4 years this year.
So it was already, I think, the Brexit discussion.
Yeah, it was. They're already discussing the Brexit thing, like 1 year before I decided to come here. So I needed to rush a bit, you know, to be able to enter the country and stay here. Like, without any issues, any problems.
Okay. I had a cousin that was living abroad way before me. So know that the first year in the new country, you come back to Greece and you feel like you came back home. After the second or third year, you come back to Greece and you feel like you're going back home there. That it shifts.
Yeah.
That your home now is here, it's not there anymore.
And
do you have anything like that?
It's true. I have been in Brazil 2 times since I came here first time. I went for holidays once, and I was like, wow, how could I leave this country? No, I have everything here, like my friends, my family, everything is so good. I spent a really good time there, and then I came back, and everything was different. I was depressed. I didn't like it at all. I was like, oh my God, why did I come back? And then when all the pandemic situation happened, and I had to go back there. I spent 10 months in Brazil, and at some point I was like, I had enough. It's time to go back home. It's good to be here, but that's not my home anymore.
Right.
Because I cannot be myself. I couldn't feel comfortable being myself like I feel here.
Yeah, it's a weird realization.
Even being here, like we have things that is dangerous here as well. Like every country has it, but being here is much different than being in Brazil. Yeah. Even if it's my own country, I speak the same language as they speak. It's pretty different.
I want to ask you also the language barrier, racism, like based on the language. We speak with a different accent. When I'm in the shop and I speak to the customers, they know from the beginning that I'm not a Londoner. If this gave you some difficulty or affected you in some way.
Well, my journey to London first time, it was really long. I had a really long connection in Dubai when I came, and it was the first time I faced a language barrier.
Right.
I need to exchange some money, and I was freaking out. I didn't know how to do it. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna starve. I'm in a different country. They don't even speak English. It's not their mother tongue. They do speak English, but it's different. Like they're gonna understand me. It was the first time that I felt it, and I knew that much more was coming, because I had no idea how to communicate when I first came here. I came without any language, any English, like nothing at all.
All right.
I thought I knew a bit, but as soon as I got here, I was like, no, I don't know nothing. I don't know anything.
Right?
It's completely different.
I had the same feeling, and I feel like I knew some American English. And you come here and have some specific accent and specific names for objects. The rubbish. I didn't know rubbish is the garbage. I knew them as garbage. So I couldn't, even simple things like that, you find it difficult to communicate. I was saying garbage and they were looking at me. And at some point I was thinking they know what I mean. They're just messing with me, But they were telling me, garbage. What are you talking about? Like that?
The first time that I had a situation like that, I was in the tube underground.
Okay.
And I knew that the way out, it could be exit as well. So I had this idea in my mind, I have to look for the exit.
Okay.
And I was looking for it and I couldn't find it anywhere. I was like, how am I gonna get out of this place now? So I just started to follow people, and they're all going to the way out. And at some point I asked one of my friends, how do you guys call the exit here, please? Tell me. And they told me that it's different than America. Yeah. There's so many things that is different than what we know. Because in school in Brazil, we have English classes, but you're gonna know just the basic. I was really lucky in the beginning because I had many Brazilian friends here that helped me. They gave me so much support when I came first time. But for example, my first interview to get a job, I don't know how I got the job, okay? I had no idea how I got the job because the manager, she was interviewing me and just talking, and I was just like, yeah. The only thing that I was able to say was yes. Okay. And I got it, but still after that, took me a while to break some walls, to be able to go to a coffee shop and ask for a coffee. I was scared. I was like, they're not gonna get me, they're gonna get me something else. They're gonna laugh on my face, and I don't want that, I don't want to feel embarrassed like that. So I had 4 or 5 months, a massive wall in front of me, stopping me to go somewhere and ask for what I want. But then at some point I was like, come on, I left my country, my comfort zone, to be free, you know, to don't be scared about anything. So I just have to go for it. So I just went there, asked for coffee after 4 months. No, before I wasn't having any coffee in the street, you know, because I was really scared. And after 4 or 5 months, I finally was like, you know, everybody came to this country for a reason, and all of them went through the same thing that I'm going now. So why have to be scared, you know?
One thing that I noticed when I first came here is that every time I was going to the shops to order something, I would see people that speak broken English like me.
Mm-hmm.
So it made me feel one with them at some point, because everybody comes here from other countries, and especially these jobs, it's us that do them usually. So I felt one with them because I could hear that they are not Londoners.
Mm-hmm.
So I was feeling a bit more free to communicate with them and to feel included.
And they're really welcoming, you know, when they realize that somebody is just in the beginning, you know, they're not gonna let you down, they're not gonna let you struggle.
That's true.
That's why, you know, I was motivated to learn and improve. And having the same people, like the same kind of people around me, you know, like starters, you know, just came to London, is learning the language, you know, having them around me, you know, we could improve together.
Exactly. Yeah.
We are all a team, you know, and all improve together. I'm not saying I'm perfect now, you know, but I can tell, like, comparing when I came, I have such a good English, you know.
There is progress.
There's a lot of progress, yeah.
Another thing that somebody told me when I first came here is that the most common mistake that people do when they come is that they ghetto themselves, which means that I'm Greek, I came here, I will spend my time with Greeks. I will rent a house with Greek flatmates. And this is a big mistake because in your house, you speak Greek and you don't exercise your English. And he told me you have to communicate and make circles with other people from other countries that they don't speak Greek language with you all the time. So you all exercise the language, and it reminded me of what you said, that we all help each other and we grow together, kind of.
I think in the beginning, all of us go through the same thing, you know, because when I came, I was living with just Brazilians for about a year.
Yeah.
And I think the first 6 months when I couldn't go and get a coffee, for example, it was the time that I realized, okay, so I have to stop it, okay?
Yeah.
They need to help me, or they need to leave, or I need to leave, you know? It was when I decided to move, and I was like, fine, I have to live with different people, you know, where I'm gonna force myself to communicate, you know, and understand different cultures and different languages as well.
Yeah.
It was really good for me because also with English I learned a lot of Spanish.
Okay.
It's really similar to Portuguese, so it was easier, but it helped me a lot to learn English, you know, to improve English and to get to the stage that I'm now.
All right.
Because I had so many Spanish friends that already knew how to speak English, so it was much better for me to communicate with them in Spanish and learn English at the same time. So it's like we get a lot of things, you know, like a lot of good things.
I see it also in my shop. So we have a lot of people that know Spanish and they will speak with each other Spanish at some times. But we turned it into a game, and I was asking them, what does that mean? What does this mean? And they started teaching me kind of somehow.
But you can get, you know, what they're talking about, you know, like you can get some things, right?
Yeah, and the body language is very similar. I feel very close to Spanish people when I meet them. Like, you know, we have this thing that we touch the other person, we do stuff like that. In English, they are more cold, kind of.
That's a good thing as well, because here you're gonna meet so many people from different countries, different cultures, you know, and I can tell Latin people, for me, they're the best ones, you know, because they're open, you know, they're happy all the time. Yeah. You understand each other just looking at each other, you know, you're gonna know what you're thinking about.
So true.
And it helps a lot, you know, when you're in different place, far from family and friends, you know, you're gonna feel like embraced.
You see something familiar in their eyes.
Yeah, you do, definitely.
Something that they do here and it's way different than your country.
The mix of cultures here for me, it was a big shock when I came first time. Everything was so new, you know. It wasn't weird. I cannot say that it was weird, but it was different. Because it made me feel that I want to learn more about these people. I want to get them, you know, and I want to feel comfortable like they do here. Like now I'm walking the streets, you know, like I'm talking to different people and it's so normal for me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like that in Brazil, you know, because you have the same people every single day, the same people, the same language, you know, everybody wears the same clothes, you know, everybody's worried about, oh, what I'm gonna wear, how they're gonna look at me, you know, and here's different. And it was really good for me to to get to the point that I could see that everybody is the same inside.
Yeah.
We're all human beings, and
Exactly.
I think is the most important thing for me when I came here, like to learn how to respect other people and look at them the same way I'm looking at me when I'm looking at me in the mirror, for example. We're free to be ourselves here, but still there are some people that is stuck in the past, and they're not gonna accept different people here.
Yeah, that's true.
And yes, of course, I had some bad experiences, but it is what it is. I just had to learn how to deal with it and.
Yeah.
Come on, my life is here now, It happens, happens everywhere.
Yeah.
Even in Brazil, if you go to a different city, we have different accent in Portuguese.
Yeah, of course.
And if I'm going to, I'm from south of Brazil. If I'm going to the north and I'm going to speak with my south accent, they're going to look at me differently,
Yeah.
They realize straight away. And it's the same here.
I think it's also the mentality that you have. Like in the beginning, when we come here, it's natural that we are a bit more self-aware and a bit more scared. You have a mentality, if somebody talks down on you, you feel kind of victimized easier than after staying here 3 years and have the experience, and if somebody talks down to you, you're like, what the fuck are you doing? So you learn also to not accept certain behaviors.
Come on, I came here to be a different person, not to be stronger, to improve myself.
Exactly.
And I'm not gonna let anybody take this out of me,
Sure. There might be people that are trying in the States where you were before, and they are thinking to move to London from a different country, and maybe they don't know good English yet, and they have in their head some obstacles.
I think the language is not a big barrier anymore, because we have internet, we have Google Translate, we have so many ways to help ourselves to do it. Sometimes people think that is way too easy to just come here. Oh, I'm gonna come to London, whatever. I'm gonna find a job the first day, and they come thinking that it's easy. Everything is blue with pink colors around, and it's not.
It's not.
Just come without any fear. Come prepared that you're gonna struggle. Maybe you will, maybe you will not. But come with this idea, that nothing is just rainbows and flowers, You just need to come with the idea that if you're gonna struggle, you have to be strong, and you have to be your own support,
Yeah.
You have to be healthy mentally to deal with all these situations,
Yeah. London specifically is a very overpopulated city. It's the whole London is huge buildings with houses, and all these people, you are competing with them in order to find a job. Or a lot of people looking for jobs. A lot of people are changing jobs constantly. So every time you go to an interview, you compete with a huge number of people. And we don't have this kind of competition in Greece for sure. In Greece, they say, of course, it's difficult to find a job now because of the economical crisis and all this stuff. The competition is not that huge as it's here. The numbers are way lower.
I don't know. I think it's a bit different in Brazil. In Brazil, they ask you for too much to get a simple job, Here it's pretty easy to get a job in customer service, let's say, without any experience.
Yeah, they have a different system here that they take you and you have a proper training.
They give you opportunities, And I don't think back in Brazil they would give you that amount of opportunities that we get here. But if I would try to get a job in customer service in Brazil before having my experience that I got here,
it would be impossible.
It would be impossible.
Nearly.
Even people with a degree in Brazil, sometimes they struggle to get a job in the area that they study so many years.
Other stuff for instance, the bureaucracy. I got impressed. Here you go to get a paper and they just give you the paper. In Greece, you have to go to the organization. They tell you go upstairs, talk with this person, wait in this line, then talk with that person, and you spend 4 hours to get one paper. But it should be simple, but it's not. You had the same things in Brazil or not?
Depends in what way.
Passport or something like that?
Yeah, in Brazil, we do. We do it. You have to queue for everything, Everything you want to do, you have to queue. And here is pretty simple technology,
Yeah.
Everything is online, We can do everything through your phone. We're almost paperless here. And I love that. I have to carry papers with me, have bags and I like to do everything quickly. So if I can just log in on my phone, and get it easier for me is much better. But in Brazil, yeah, when I went to get my passport to come here, I had to go to another city, do first my ID, and then go back there after a few weeks to get my passport done, and I have to carry so many papers with me. Like, come
yeah, it's the
on,
same
you're
in
stuck
Greece,
in 1,800 or what? When I came first time, I just had the experience that I was traveling for 56 hours. Yeah, I think that was the hardest time for me, to get here. I was like, oh my God, if it's gonna be like this every day in London, I'm just gonna get my tickets back. Because I was traveling a lot. I had some issues with my flights. And I think that was the worst thing that I went through when I came first time. And after that, I had a really bad experience with a customer once.
Okay.
He could see that I wasn't from England. English wasn't my mother tongue, and he was making it difficult for me,
Okay.
But I had to step up, I was like, man, I'm so sorry. I'm just asking you to speak with me like in a simple way, You can see that I'm not from here. Don't try to make fun out of me, Don't try to make me feel small or shame of what I am, because I'm here just doing my job. Just asking you a simple question. Speak simple with me. Yeah, that day was terrible. Okay, I felt so bad later. I felt like he tried to humiliate me,
Yeah. I know. I have friends that had similar situations on the beginning. She was working in a restaurant, and she went to get the order. She went once, she couldn't understand. She asked again, she couldn't understand. But also the people in the table were English, and they were making it. She felt like they are making it a bit difficult, She went to the supervisor and said that, I'm sorry, I can't understand them. And he goes like, if you can't understand them, your place is in the kitchen, not in the front of the house. So it was like, she felt even worse,
It's really bad, and you don't expect to have this kind of situations here, because especially in London, everybody here is from different countries,
Yeah, it's not the normal. To be honest, these stories are not the normal, but you still hear them once in a while. They pop up once in a while, and you see that it's not everything welcoming, but also you learn from them. Like the second time you are in a situation like that, you know that it's not normal to get this towards your face. So
you're not gonna accept, Next time you're just not gonna accept. You're gonna step up and you're gonna say, hold on, you don't speak to me like that, Us is stronger.
Yeah, you grow as a character.
A lot.
Maybe another thing that is weird here for me when I first came, it's how expensive the rent is. I was feeling that, okay, when I first came, it's normal for pretty much everybody here to rent a house with flatmates and to have a house with other people. A lot of times it's gonna be strangers. Sometimes if you're lucky, it's gonna be somebody that you already know. But this was a huge difficulty for me, and I felt like, because in Greece I had my own apartment. It was my sister's house, actually, because she was here. So I was living there, kinda, crashing. And when I came here, I had to pay a lot of money to be with other people and with roommates, and I was feeling like, this is a waste of money. I spent all this money on rent. In Greece, I would have a huge house on my own.
Because it's money, they go and they don't come back to you, They just go.
I was feeling very weird about this situation, that I have to pay every month all these bills, and for living with other people in a small room. Did you have a difficulty there, like when you came?
The first place that I lived, I was with friends from my city, actually. And it was much easier for us, to learn how to deal with ourselves, like deal with each other, have like a good atmosphere to live. But when I decided to move out, I was living in a different house, different people that I never met before. So they have different ways, how to behave in the house, how to keep things. And it was really difficult for me, because I'm a really organized person in my place. And then I move with different people, and see all the mess, and I had to learn how to deal with that, because I cannot make them change, because I don't know them. I just met them, I don't know where they come from, It doesn't matter the country or whatever, like this is how they learn, and they're gonna keep like that. And I just had to learn, and accept that, okay, I have to deal with that now, and I have to be mature enough to understand that that's my place now. My part's gonna be how I want, but the rest, like, it is what it is. What can I do?
In the beginning, I was feeling like I'm so unlucky that I'm in this situation with these people and stuff like that. But then I heard some stories of worse people, and I'm like, okay, maybe it wasn't as bad. It can be way worse than this, but still, it was very difficult.
Something that was really difficult for me in the beginning was to stop exchanging the money.
Okay.
Because the pound in Brazil is really high. So if £1 there, you cannot do anything, but you can do a lot,
Yeah.
Like the amount of money that I'm paying for rent here is a lot of money in Brazil. I could do a lot of things. I could pay like a mortgage for the house or something. And in the beginning, I was thinking a lot about that. I was like, why I'm here, paying such an expensive rent, if I could live cheaper and just collect this money and go back and have my life there. But it won't last forever,
Yeah.
Because at some point I'm just going to run out of the money that I collected and I have to build everything again.
That's true.
So I prefer just to be here, go through this, pay expensive rent here, and build my life here than just have a good moment in Brazil and then come back again
then
and
you go
start.
down again.
Exactly. Because in the beginning, everything was exchanged. I was going to supermarket, getting a bottle of Coke, and I was like, oh my God, I could get 5 with this money.
Things I had them as well.
I'm working here, I'm getting pounds, not in my money, So I have to just think about what I'm getting here.
The salaries are way lower.
Yeah.
So you have to adjust everything according to the salary you are getting, and not compared to how much it cost in Greece, because in Greece you would get half the salary you get here. So
Or even less. I don't know.
Even less.
In Brazil, for example, there's so many people that is working so much, so hard. They do such a hard job and they're not recognized.
And you see it when you go out of there. But at least as long as I'm here, and this is the reason why I stay here and I don't go back, is that I feel like in the end of the day that I was working and working and working, and all these years I couldn't keep something on the side, And I came here for a couple of years and I already have something on the side. And I'm like, why I didn't come earlier? Why I stayed in Greece doing all this for what? For what? I don't understand. Would you like at some point, in 20 years or 30 years, to go back to Brazil? Like a retirement plan or something?
Just if I'm gonna own my own place, and I'm gonna be 100% stable in life financially.
Yeah.
Without any concerns, I don't wanna, if I would make this plan to return to Brazil one day just to retire there and be there, I just wanna make sure that I'm not gonna struggle, I'm not gonna need anything, and I will not have to worry about money or work, to get something.
Yeah, that's actually the base of the question, is that if you secure a financial level that you say, okay, I have a lot of money from now on, I can do whatever I like, would be a choice to go back to Brazil? Would that make you happy? Or it would make you happy to stay here and spend this money?
All depends, because I'm building my life here now. Maybe in 20, 30 years, I'm not gonna have any contact with people that I have in Brazil now. So why I would go back there?
Right.
No, to build everything again, to meet people again, no, because everybody that I know is gonna be here. So I don't think so. I moved here for the reason, and I think I will stay here now.
All right.
I'm happy here. We have complaints every day, but it's normal, We are always tired, always running everywhere, but deep inside, I don't have any complaints about living here and plan my life here.
Before I come here, I was saying for a lot of years to myself, even when I was younger, for instance, I didn't even like traditional Greek music. So I didn't like the culture at this level. I always listened to American songs, American movies. I didn't watch Greek TV nearly at all. And I was feeling that I don't really belong there. And it was always in the back of my head that I have to go out. I have to go to America. But when I came here, I started missing all my friends, my family and all stuff. And I started thinking that, man, I should get some money and go back. And now I'm in a between state that I feel like if I had a lot of money, if money wasn't an issue, I would go back to be with my friends and my family. Even though before I was trying my best to go away from Greece. That's why I asked you, actually, I like your answer because it's more healthy. You are happy being here and you don't want to change something else in your life. It's very good for you.
Sometimes,
and I'm happy for you, you know.
Sometimes you're gonna be sad, you know, for some reasons, but that's life, you know.
Yeah.
This is how life is, you know. We cannot do anything to change. And people come and go. We're gonna meet people. We're gonna meet good people, bad people, and these all experiences, you know, just gonna make us learn and improve as a person. I think I can be stable, you know, like in this way of life. It helps me a lot, you know, because I don't get attached to material things. So I can focus on myself. I can focus on my plans, my goals, you know.
Yeah. That's another thing here that when I first came, I realized how my room was so small, and because I live with other people, all my belongings have to be inside this room. So it forced me to be more of a minimalist. I didn't have the space anymore to gather, like to have my musical instruments, my this, my that, to have different jackets, different, like at some point I didn't have space to put my clothes. So I said to myself, okay, this I haven't worn it for a month. I don't need it. I gave it to a charity shop. And I learned to live with less material stuff, like you say, which is healthier, I think. We don't, a lot of belongings that we have, we don't use them at all. We just like to see them.
Yeah, that's another thing, you know, when I came to Brazil, to give so many stuff away. Oh, it was so painful, really. I had a collection of mugs and cups. I have like over 100 mugs in my room. And I was like, I could leave it here easily, you know, like that's my family's house, you know, it's gonna stay here. But if I wanna build my life somewhere else, why I would keep it? So I had to get rid of all of it. It was really painful, but it was the beginning of a new start, you know.
Yeah, it's like you have to start a domino somehow.
Exactly. And here now, you know, like there's some stuff that I'm really attached to, and takes me a while to just let it go. But at some point I'm gonna just let it go, you know, because I must. That's life. Yeah.
You evolve. You learn to evolve.
Exactly.
I think we can wrap it up. It's getting a bit chill now. The sun is getting down.
Yeah, but it's a lovely day today.
Yeah, it is. And we had a lot of walking around. Like in London, it's so weird that you walk in the city and you have all these buildings, and then you have a park right next to it. In Greece, you have to travel to go to nature. You know, it's not in the city. We don't have nature. Here, they combine. You have nature. You have city. You have civilization, and you see animals. Like we don't have these things in Greece. I don't know. It's like kind of mind blowing. You can take the tube and be in nature. So, like that.
Yeah, it's good. I love this about London. No, like if you wanna have a walk just to clear your mind, you have like a nice park to go, you know, you don't have to be around so much noise and that.
Yeah, and everybody's doing it. Every time I will go to the park, even now it's the middle of the day, you're thinking that people are gonna be at their jobs, but there's so many people around and they use the parks and they take walks and they respect the nature. We don't see down garbage everywhere.
Yeah.
Like in Greece, you go to the beach in the summer and it's full of garbage because everybody goes, throws the bottles and then goes home. Like they don't respect the nature. Here they have laws and they follow them and rules, and you see that they respect actually the stuff. I hope things will change in Greece. They will start respecting more.
It's gonna take a while, you know. There's some countries that's gonna take a while for that, but it will.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna be alive to see that, but I hope it will.
Man, thank you very much for today.
Thank you.